Cooked in a carini. Got some things you say and do. Tell me your brain cells off a few. And that is why I hate you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Joaquin.
Oh look, he said his name. I love it.
And that is why I hate you.
I was hoping you were going to. I was thinking to
You
myself.
let me in for it. I had to do it.
I did. It was a leading intro. I was hoping I could get you to say your name because I was thinking the other night, man, I always say both our names, and that's I'm just assuming too much. I should just assume that it's my job to say our name.
I might not identify as Joaquin the next episode, so
you might change your mind. Oh, that's a good lead into the first thing I was gonna mention to you. So my wife comes home a couple days ago, and she's got a new colleague this year that she's working with, and her colleague has a 3-year-old daughter, and I guess the other day went on a little rager because she went to bring her daughter for her annual physical, and her daughter was asked by the physician, "Are you a boy or are you a girl?" And because of the current, social climate surrounding trans identity and trans rights and all that stuff, she got kind of upset about it. And my wife told me the story, and we were both kind of like, "Yeah, that's weird." That's kind of, I was like, that's kind of, I don't know if I think that's a good idea to be asking a 3-year-old. But I was like, you know what? Let me quell my rage for a second here. And I went and I looked online and I Googled it. It's like, it's this normal thing to happen. The first thing that popped up was this angry dad that posted a TikTok video. I don't recall when it was, but
did he have a beard like 12 miles long?
Just
assuming
he had a beard. I'm trying to remember how long it was.
Either a hunter's hat or a trucker's hat.
It was,
and he has some kind of shades.
He was definitely the type of guy you would picture.
Yeah.
But he had a 9-year-old son that I guess the doctor asked, like, are you was explained, like, are you male? Are you female? Are you fluid? I don't know. Going through the
gender fluid or any of those weird things.
Gender fluid, non-binary, whatever, whatever. And the guy was like raging on TikTok, like, "Motherfucking doctor asking my son. My son was confused." And I was like, "You're my boy. You're my boy." I'm doing the voice, but this is like how the quote sounded in my head because just the vernacular he was using. "You're my boy. Just don't listen to that shit." And I actually have less of a problem with that because it's a 9-year-old. It's a 9-year-old. The 9-year-old can think for themselves. They have a established brain, and I kind of get it. Like, you don't know what kind of household. If you saw this guy, maybe you're like, "Oh boy, if this kid's trans, like, this kid is fucked in life." So maybe you're trying to just ask the question to I don't know, find out for the well-being of the child. I don't know, but then the next thing I found after like 30 of those was that it's actually just a normal question physicians or pediatricians ask because it's a milestone in development when you hit about 3 years old. These were older articles, so they weren't
okay.
These articles.
I mean, I know my kids have never been alone in the room with a physician, and they've never been asked that. So I guess it depends on where. I don't remember being asked that when I was younger.
So two things.
I don't think most of these people who are raging remembers that question. So that's what I'm saying. Like, is it actually true that this is a real thing that they've been asking, or is this something that the internet just put out there?
So some of these milestones.
Playing devil's advocate here.
No, you're right to play devil's advocate. So two things. First off, I thought the same thing. So I was looking at the initial things I found were people explaining and posting regarding the guidelines. So I did look up some of the guidelines, and they appeared to be several years old. So which is still kind of could be in that window, but it's not. 20. I would even say 2021 versus 2023 is a big difference in regards to how that issue has evolved over the last couple of years. Second, to your point, I thought that as well, and then I realized, you know what though, when my kids were 3 years old, 3+ years ago, and when I was that age, I don't think I would have thought anything of it because it wasn't.
No, it wouldn't.
It wasn't something.
It doesn't hurt the child. It really
doesn't. But my point is, my point is just, if they were asked, I wouldn't remember because it wouldn't have occurred to me. You know what I mean?
I guess at the time it wouldn't have. My thing is, I think even at 9, even if it was a small thing, I would remember being asked that, like, duh, I'm a boy. Like, thinking like a kid, that would just be like an off thing. I remember funny little, like, incidental situations.
Sure, okay.
Like, I'm clearly a boy. Why would you ask me that? Like,
Yeah, but
nobody
as a
would think like
3-year-old,
that.
it's
But
not
as a
that.
no, not the 3-year-old. I'm talking about the 9-year-old. I
Okay, well
said
the,
9-year-old.
the milestone is for a 3-year-old. I guess that's a milestone in a
So what about the
3-year-old's
9-year-old
development.
being
Well,
then why
that was
was
a
the
whole different
9-year-old
story.
axed?
That's a whole
Okay.
different story. That
Okay.
I think to me is like you said, that's probably more woke politics and some doctor that felt the need to do that. But for a 3-year-old, I guess
Okay.
it's just a developmental milestone where
Yeah, like, can
they
you
start to identify.
things? And
Right.
again, I don't
Their
remember
brain
my
is.
kids being asked that, but I
Yeah,
don't care either way.
I don't either, but
My son
you know.
ran around in an Elsa dress. I don't really care.
Oh, my
Like,
son for several years, because my daughter had all these princess costumes, wanted to dress up in the princess costumes too. I don't give a fuck. Whatever,
yeah,
whatever he
I
wants to
don't
do.
care.
Because again, there's nothing inherent about being a boy that says you can't wear a dress. Like that's just a
Yeah.
societal thing
I
that
mean,
we made that decision at some
hey,
point.
purses, heels, and pink used to be boy things. Like,
So yeah, so
so
like if he goes, oh, my sister's running around, and I'll let him too. I don't. I'm not dumb enough to think in my head that's gonna make him trans or make him gay or whatever. Like, because it doesn't make sense, Like
yeah,
we both have in our mind that's something somebody is born with. So I don't think he's going to be turned by doing
yeah,
that. But anyway, I just thought it was funny that it was a one-off moment of like, what the fuck? Only because of everything going on right now in the political climate, the social climate regarding that issue, where it could very well be, and again, I don't know for sure, but it could very well be, well, let me rephrase that. I know that it's a developmental milestone, but to your point, maybe that's a newer thing that came up because of these issues. I don't
yeah.
think it is, but it could be. But anyway.
Speaking of trans issues, if you're done, if you have something else,
No, I'm done with that
I'm
one.
trying to be more polite. I'm playing Starfield. They came out on
Yeah, I'm
Game
so
Pass,
jealous. Oh, I'm
and
jealous of you.
somebody don't be. Um,
No?
and there was like this big hullabaloo because they asked for gender pronouns in the game. And mind you,
Okay.
it's not a requirement. It's something you can easily skip. But like right after you make your man's or woman's or they them's, it asks you for your pronoun. Mainly for, I'm assuming, for conversation in games. So the person can refer to you however you want to. And I'm just like, the addition of that is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But
It
there's
doesn't
this
affect you
there's
anyway.
this like balding this pretty much this guy around our age, maybe a little older, like fat British chud guy, was like going up in arms about like pronouns taking away from his immersion and take and taking away choice. Did you hear that?
Yeah, well, I don't know what the fuck
I
that
don't know what
was.
it was. Maybe it was a
Sounded
car.
it was a ghost.
Yeah, it was like it took him out of his immersion. It took him out of out of this fantasy, his escapism. It took him out, and I'm like, wait a minute.
At
So
the
the
beginning of the
addition,
game,
right,
when you're
exactly,
selecting your pronouns, you haven't even started the
mind
fucking
you,
game yet.
exactly,
You dumb fucking
exactly,
cunt.
and all of a sudden he's like, I mean, he goes off like to the point that people who are on his side were making fun of him because of how
Good.
much like a man baby he sounded,
Good. Throw a
and
fucking tantrum.
this dude. One, I watched his video. I watched another video about him, which is why I watched his video. And then I watched this guy called the Act Man who did a video on this guy as well. And not a video on him, but of the situation and of
Sure, yeah.
Starfield. And it's because it's so ridiculous. And few things I learned was, do you remember the show? You actually the one that suggested the show to me. I Think You Should Leave.
Great show. Yes.
Yes. Remember the scene, not the scene, but the skit where they're in an office and the one girl's just trying to get a joke off about Santa and she keeps busting out with like really off jokes that just don't work and
Yes.
she's just getting more and more awkward as it
Yep.
goes on until somebody says, "Nice joke." I didn't know she was
Yeah.
trans. That she's trans.
Oh, I didn't either.
I learned that just from this debacle. Like,
Oh, really?
this going off, I actually learned something kind of cool. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
like
you know
she's
what?
getting actual acting jobs, and being trans isn't like the point of her character.
No, and that's the way it should be. It shouldn't fucking matter. And even better when it's we don't notice because it's not made a thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think that is phenomenal. But anyway, back to the man baby. So he's going off about it, and I'm just like, first of all, if the game's going to refer to you, is going to say, hey, this guy here, or hey, this gal here, or they, like, it's going to choose. If you want the game to be gender neutral the entire fucking time, have fun with that.
Yeah, I don't.
Like,
Could get a little confusing.
and I don't understand people being so up in arms with the addition of choice, acting like that's a subtraction of choice.
That is a very, very common. Again, back to it doesn't affect you. Like, it doesn't make any difference to you, but it might make a big difference to someone else. So
yeah, like,
what's the fucking problem?
I can get the frustration with like the Tumblr brain that people get, where like now there's like 20,000 different genders.
Yeah, I can understand the confusion around that too.
Yeah, and that causes confusion. I can understand frustration with that, but guess what? Ultimately, that doesn't hurt you.
No,
it's just annoying at worst. I mean, at worst, it could just be annoying.
Right.
And it's absurd. It's a clown show to be fighting against it. Like, I'm tired of those people specifically, but I'm tired of the people who are adamantly fighting it, thinking it's an indoctrination thing. And like,
right,
you guys should be experts in indoctrination, because most of you are religious. You do know that, right?
I know. Well, and not only that, we're talking about Starfield. I mean, you don't have 5-year-olds playing this game, you know? You're not indoctrinating a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 35-year-old, a 55-year-old that's playing Starfield on their Xbox.
And not to mention, it's an alternate universe future of ours. It's supposed to be our future.
Which you would think is a natural evolution of the way our society is.
Here.
It's I don't know. I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday about how well, first off, two thoughts. That reverberates through everything. That whole acting as though the addition of something is subtraction because it hurt you are not happy with it. Just like voter laws in general, like the idea that there are a lot of people who want to restrict the way you can vote, like not being able to vote by mail and early voting. It should be a good thing that we get more people voting, and the fact that there are people that are trying very hard to make that not happen is just unbelievable. Like, no, more choice and more options are good.
Those people are the same people that like close voting offices or make them at such restrictive times,
right? Which is just so
people
stupid.
Who work can't get to them. Like, yet that's not taking away from the rights of the people. Like, are you fucking serious?
It makes no sense. Like, well, we can't allow those additional options. They could have. What the fuck is going on? Oh,
I live across the street from a fire department that seems to be very busy every single week.
Wow. I mean, when I was younger, I lived down the street from one, so I wasn't quite as close as you.
Are we really going to record with this playing in the background?
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
I feel like I'm in Silent Hill right now. Actually,
it does. It is big. It does make me feel like it's the purge. The purge is happening.
Oh, when I had my niece sleeping over, her and her boyfriend were here, and it was late at night. And her and I were just like sitting up. It's like 2 a.m. My wife went to bed. We're watching a movie. I'm watching a movie with them, and the fire alarm goes off. And I had a perfect opportunity. She looked. She was like, "What the fuck?" And he's from the city. He doesn't know the fuck's going on. And I look at them both and go, "You better get to the bunker." I couldn't help it.
No, that's good on the spot thinking. Wait, and then so then just to transition to the other thing I was going to mention, I was actually having a conversation with my wife the same night, and now I don't remember what led into it, just about how irritated I am with the fact that we act like and when I say we, I mean, of course,
The
the
royal
royal we. We act so much, so often, so much. Those are the same thing, basically. Like, we haven't really evolved as a society in terms of uh, rights for different groups of people and how we treat them. Oh, I know where it stemmed from. My daughter was talking last night about an issue she was having with a friend at school, and she asked about getting bullied when we were younger. And I was like,
Okay.
"Oh yeah, I got bullied all the time." And she was like, well, "What did they do to you?" And I was like, put gum in my hair and spit on me and would hit me and punch me and stuff like that. Oh, she's like, "Did they call you any names?" I was like, "Oh my God, all the time. I always got called a girl and a faggot." And she said, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah,
Right.
all right. Well, let me explain it." And I explained, I said, it's a really derogatory term for a person who is gay, which she already knows all that stuff because we've had those conversations.
Yeah.
And I said, and I said, how daddy says a lot of bad words like fucking shit? She's like, "Yeah." And it's like, I say some really bad words like cunt. And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "This is a word I won't say." I was like, because it's such a bad word, has such a horrible connotation to it. But when I was a kid, people used that word freely
All
and
the
would,
time. Yeah.
right, and would name call it all the time. And then I got into this conversation. I was like, we act like we haven't evolved a lot as a society, where we've come a really fucking long way.
Well,
Is
that's the
everything
thing.
perfect?
Oh, absolutely
No.
not.
But a lot of people act like there's been no progress and things aren't any better, and things are a fuck ton better than they were even 30 years ago when I was a kid.
Well, that's because of everybody's really retarded. Yeah, I'm going to use that word again because this freaking
Oh,
show makes me say that word.
here you
Oh my
go.
God. I never say it normally. I'm not even saying that just if somebody hears it. No, I normally
All right, I'm
never
going to
say
scold
this
you.
word. It's
Bad
just the
luck, Keem.
show. It's the
Bad luck,
show.
Keem.
So I
I
got to
wish I could.
stop.
We're not in person today, so I can't spray you with a water bottle.
Okay, but that is, and actually, that word is one of the words that were just so commonly thrown around, and now we can't.
Sure. I mean,
But
even when we were like in our early 20s, that was still
yeah.
commonly thrown around. Yeah.
So, growing up, like here's the thing: we have such a really stupid idea of, or a stupid binary of like what's changed and what's different and what's good and what's bad. So, like in the '90s, everybody's like, racism is dead. It's the '90s. Nobody's racist anymore. Yet a lot of bad racist things, especially involving cops, were happening in the '90s.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then now we kind of, people are trying to flip it to the other end. And was like, no, because if you treat it the other way around, you're just gonna make people desensitized to it, just in the opposite direction.
Right.
They're like,
That was my
there's
point.
nothing I can fucking do about it, so I ain't gonna do nothing about it. Or
Yeah,
that's the way it is. Or the cops aren't racist. That's just a few bad apples. That's how you get that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
But I was
you have to be realistic about it, and you're right.
it just brought up in my head. It's like, we really have evolved a lot in the last 30 years. And yeah, there's more to go, but we shouldn't ignore the fact that there has been progress made, and look at that as we're going in the positive direction. And maybe in 30 years from now, it's going to be like even so much better. And we'll think about 30 years ago as having been a terrible time. But I think we should acknowledge the progress. It's funny. When I was having that conversation with my daughter, my wife also, she's gonna be mad at me. She was like, "It's like, how I don't like the word retarded." She was like, "It's like that." And I was like, "No, it's not like that." I was like, "You know why?" And I used that old skit. I was like, "Because you're saying that word yourself with no problem." It was like,
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't twinge that thing. Because
Yeah.
look, for me, that word doesn't bother me. The R slur doesn't bother me, but for respect for other people, I want to break that from actually
Sure.
saying it. I do say it. It depends on the context in which I'm saying it too.
Well, look, I'm a white guy.
But that goes for every word for me.
I'm a straight white guy. None of those words offend me, but I know they offend other people.
Yep.
Right. So of course I'm going to be as courteous as I can and not use those fucking words, because I know that they, and again, I always find it hilarious how much power words have. I think it's hilarious that an utterance of sounds can have so much fucking power. But Regardless,
I think the internet really just supplants that because now everybody's assuming the intent of others through
sure.
their words.
Yeah, I can't tell you how often that happens just in my regular life where I send a text off and the context is completely misconstrued by the person I send it to because of whatever's going on in their head, and they think I said it in a completely different way than I meant it because there's no connotation, there's no
Yeah.
context, it's just words. It's just words.
So often, and I'll say this between our texts, you'll text me like a half a paragraph, and I'll give you like 3 words
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
reply, and that gets misconstrued as in like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Is everything all right?"
Do I do
Not
that?
by you, not by you. I
Okay.
think you've done
I
it
was
like
gonna
once or
say,
twice. I think you've done it once or twice, but it wasn't like you thought we were having a problem. You thought I was probably upset.
no, I think the only time I've done that is if maybe I've sent you a couple messages and I haven't heard from you in a day or two just to make sure you're
Probably
okay.
that's probably what it is. But
And I don't.
I know.
No,
Sorry.
I don't mean it. I don't mean it. Are we okay? I mean it. Are you
Yeah.
okay? Is everything okay
No,
with
no,
you?
I know that. I'm not saying are we okay. Just
Yeah.
like,
No,
is everything all right with me?
a lot of people do construe it that way as are we okay? Like, oh,
Yo,
are
it's
we
like,
okay? You're only
yeah,
sending me 3-word responses. No, and I know you, and I know
yeah.
you,
Just
and I know that's how you typically will respond. And I'm fucking so verbose. I have to write 3 paragraphs to get out what could be 1 sentence. So I mean, it's just the way I roll.
oh man. Oh,
So
but
anyway,
yeah. Go on.
no, if you, I was gonna wrap up and move on.
Well,
If
okay.
you,
Well, before we do completely leave, because I did mention Starfield, I took a video of playing Starfield. This is why you should not be jealous. Remember, it is a Bethesda game, so it is very fun, but you end up with several moments like this if it
oh, wait.
loads. And
Okay,
of
there's a
course,
video. All right, let's come
yeah.
on, video.
I just have to remember I'm on a certain side of the screen.
Is it?
You
Do
know
I
what
need
the
to hear
funny?
the is the audio what I need to hear, or do I need to see
No,
the
no,
video
you
too?
just need to see the video
Oh,
because
because
it's
you're
it's
kind
a
of
video.
pixelated a little bit right now,
Uh,
which is fine because
That's
it's
your fault.
recording fine.
Yeah.
On your end, it's recording fine. It's
Well,
just
you
I'm
should
not.
probably be able to see it. We'll see.
Okay, this makes great audio podcast.
I look around the ship, but no touching.
What the
Dad
fuck?
lets me do all sorts of stuff on his ship. But he said
What is
I had to be
happening?
respectful on your ship. But I
So
What is she doing? She looks like she's dancing.
that's my starship. That is my ship. She is blocking my access to the cargo hold because she's glitched on the ladder, constantly walking up the ladder in place.
Oh, okay. It looks like she's doing that go-go dance when you put your you do this like hands up and down.
She might as well. The fact of that clicking, that constant clicking of like the ladder going click 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 as she's talking,
Yeah.
I turned off the game, reset it, reloaded the save, and she's still there.
Still,
I'm like, I had to do a whole mission to get her to go away.
there's nothing worse than progress blocking glitches in video games.
Well, because Starfield, I guess they wanted to make it so realistic that you can't walk through your partners.
Oh,
But
great!
everything's such a
And they
small,
block everything.
enclosed space
You're in a fucking spaceship.
that now, if my partner decides to just walk up behind me, I can't leave. I can't say excuse me to get them to leave. I can't push them out of the way like Altair. I just have to stand there like a jackass while they stare at me with their cold, dead eyes.
You need to get some new playtesters, Bethesda. God damn it. Speaking of video game bullshit, dude, have you seen the comparisons of Mortal Kombat 1?
Mortal Kombat
on,
Switch.
Switch?
Oh my god, it's so beautiful. There's mobile games that look better than that.
I saw a tweet. The person was just like, "It's really good to see the Mortal Kombat 64 reboot on the Switch."
I got some real in WCW versus NWO vibes off of like the graphics of that.
Funny. That's funny you mentioned that because Matt from the Fun and Games podcast, shout out to Matt at Fun and Games, tweeted the other night thing about the N64 glory days of wrestling games and which one was your favorite. And we had a little back and forth about. He liked WrestleMania 2000. I liked No Mercy, and then we both agreed like, no, they were all fucking awesome. It didn't matter. It didn't matter which one you played. They were all great. Yeah, those were good games. Yeah. You know, I was going to talk about something else here, but we said we were going to start with our mail, and we didn't
And
start
then
with the
we
mail. So let's do that really quick, and then we'll move on to something else, guys. So it's time for some mail.
Once in a while, we receive some mail, and it comes to us in the mail. Sometimes we will read the mail for you. So listen, cause here comes the mail.
Okay, guys, we got some mail here from Aaron. We love you, Aaron. I'm going to read this to you, Joaquin. So this goes back to when we were talking about people having a smell. You remember that?
Okay. Oh my God, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Joaquin's comment about the smell of Comic-Cons really does hold true. Years ago, at my first convention when I entered the building, and despite the fact there was more than sufficient ventilation, in fact, I think it was a tad chilly, and it wasn't summer, I was instantly hit by the subtle but not overpowering tinge of man sweat. As you do in most situations like these, you get used to the smell in about 10 minutes. I was lining up for Robert O'Reilly's autograph, and to the left of me, in the adjacent queue, was a 6-foot-something dude in a red Starfleet Command uniform of the type they wore during The Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager. As I said earlier, it wasn't warm, but despite this, I could clearly see his forehead was glistening in sweat, and I reckon I could have wrung out a considerable amount of moisture from his costume, which was very well made, but whose material clearly had zero airflow. As my head turned to have a look at him, my nose swung into the air that I believe scientists classify as rancid. He saw me looking at him and gave me a childish smile because his line was for William Shatner, and I fumbled to say something, so I said, "Nice uniform, Captain." I think he said thanks. Fortunately, his line moved quicker than mine, so my lungs started breathing back in 21% oxygen. And he's got another story. 12 months later, 21, I got some of that number dystopia shit you were talking about. Another convention, another queue, this time for Richard Keel, rest in peace. I hope I pronounced that right. Now you know how when you are out in the wild and if you smell something that can trigger back memories of previous life experiences, yes, absolutely. Smell is very, very deeply linked to memory. In this case, the same aroma of bacteria breaking down the sweat and skin oils, but the fact that this man soup has been marinating in his flesh juice for years. My brain immediately thought of the Trekkie from the previous year. I casually turned around and he was right behind me in the line. I couldn't get a more positive identification of another human being 4 of my 5 senses verified him. Did I mention that I could also taste him in the air? so gross. I just said, "Oh shit, hi there. Remember me from last year when we were in line for William Shatner and Robert O'Reilly?" After half a second, he broke out in a big grin and we shot the shit for a minute or so. Despite the fact that he almost wanted me to suck on a stranger's month-old gym towel, almost. Well, that's a whole nother story. He was a nice guy and appeared to have a gentle giant personality. I'm guessing that nobody had ever told him about his offensive odor or the fact that every now and then you should wash that fucking costume. I think he would have been horrified if it was pointed out to him. I didn't point it out because I couldn't find the right words. If he was rude and had an obnoxious personality, he would have made it easy for me to do so. And that one is from Aaron, folks.
I am super happy that one had a pretty good feel to it. That was almost wholesome. Almost. How just the demeanor of Aaron is great. But I can just imagine the mental calculations. Every time he had to open his mouth to have a conversation.
Yeah, just trying not maybe block the back of your throat with your tongue.
Yeah, have you ever spoken to somebody had to have a conversation with somebody with really, really powerful breath?
Oh God, yes.
And you have to at least I do this, and I hope nobody notices I do it. Where I'll try to keep my mouth closed mostly, except for on the side, and I'm trying to breathe out of the side of my mouth.
You kind of turn your head to the side a little bit.
Yeah, just
sometimes I just kind of do this.
Yeah,
cover my face with my hand.
Or you breathe in between they're saying, between words, just.
The worst is when you're it's like a professional, you go to see I don't know, a doctor, an accountant, a dentist.
No,
and you're just stuck there. Bad breath's one of those things that I feel terrible about because the person doesn't really know that it's an issue, and yet no one's gonna fucking tell them. So they're just kind of stuck with it.
One thing I did learn from not being in my house for so long when I finally got back in. Well,
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. The reality of the fact that everyone has a smell and what my smell is, because not being in my house for so long, when you come back, your own smells are
You
still
notice it.
there. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yep.
that I might have to change about myself.
Yeah,
It is
it's
not
really
like-
it's really interesting how you kind of get nose blind to your own home smells. Like I remember
Yeah.
I could still smell my grandmother's house from when I was younger. When we went on vacation a couple weeks back and got home, I was like, oh, that's the smell of my house. And like it's not
Yep.
necessarily, I mean, you could tell me better. I don't feel like it's a bad smell. It's just a smell. It's not like a good smell,
You-
but it's not a bad smell either. It's just like
I was
this.
obviously not offended by the smell of your mother's house.
Well, my mother's house mostly
the
smells
smell
like
of nor the smell of your
patchouli.
house, except for where the dog takes a shit. That's it.
Oh, outside? Yeah.
I
yeah.
hate. That's why I keep going through the front door. That's
It's bad.
honestly the main reason why, because
You know,
I can't handle it.
I tried really hard to fix that. You could see over there. I dug it all out, and then I
Yeah.
put like layers down. I put layers of rock. Like I put pea stone down, so there was like, and then I put gravel on top of that, and then I put crushed gravel on top of that. Like I tried to do this like layered thing so it would filter well, and it just doesn't.
Just doesn't.
So it is
Like,
what it
how
is.
the
It just
hell-
smells
You know what?
smells like shit over there.
That explains why dogs used to eat their shit to cover up the smell.
Yeah.
That explains it.
I mean, I
'Cause
could take
that
the
smell
dog
lasts
farther away from
forever.
the house, but like I don't want to do that
No.
at night. You know?
Not at all.
Yeah. it
Like
sucks.
I know for a fact that I could never be a farmer because I'm so sensitive to smells.
Yeah.
Because
No, I
just
could see that.
I just be throwing up on the dairy-o all the fucking time.
Well, between our houses, there's that one cow farm
Uh-huh.
that is just like a good, I don't know, several 100-yard stretch of road that it's
And
just.
that smell just wafts in.
You
My
could-
daughter
speaking of tasting smells, you could taste
Oh.
that smell.
my daughter makes sure to announce when she smells it.
Yeah,
She
so do mine.
announces it loudly.
So does mine.
And she says it's either the vultures or it's the cows, and she takes off.
Yeah, one of my two kids will just go, poop, oh, I smell poop.
That's my son. He screams. It smells like poop. And he runs.
It's so bad. I get it though. I get what you're saying. Yeah, my mother's house, I think, smells like incense and stuff because she burns a lot of incense.
You know,
and,
it really wasn't that bad. Incense is another smell that bothers me. Because
Really?
it's just
You
too
too?
thick. Yeah, it's just too thick. I
I
can't
love
breathe
incense.
very well. I can't go
I
to candle
absolutely love it.
shops.
Well, my wife's the same way though. She fucking hates incense. It gives her a headache, so I
Yeah.
very rarely get to use it. But I love incense. Like I
I
love
can't.
burning incense.
I can't do it.
Sage. I like burning
really makes me sick.
sage. And
Well, it doesn't make
not
me
to,
sick. It makes me like I congest.
I know exactly how you feel, and I don't burn sage to quell evil spirits. I just like the smell.
Well,
not like-
if
I'm
you-
not I'm not
If
walking
it
around
really
my
worked,
house.
you'd disappear.
Oh, I see. Somebody's fucking salty today. Holy shit, man! Jesus
Just
Christ.
call me the Dead Sea.
Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for the email, Aaron. That was very. It's so funny.
I like the
It's
way
so
Aaron
funny.
writes. I honestly do.
I did too, and I the fact that you recognize the smell of this guy from the previous year is like I can picture in my mind how bad that smell must be
Oh.
for you to identify with it.
For me, it was the Metal Gear, like, bring.
Yeah, he gets a big exclamation over his head, turns around, and goes, oh. Yeah, I get it though. I know what you mean. Like it's like I said about the breath thing. Like you just it's one of those things where body odor is the same. Like
Yeah.
you don't know, and nobody's gonna tell you. It's so
Well,
bad.
If the body odor isn't offensive, like if it's like strong, that's one thing. But there's a thin line between strong smell and offensive.
That's true. And you know what? I know when I smell a lot of the time, as far as BO goes. Like I can
Yeah.
usually tell. I'm like, oh, I smell. I gotta take care of this one way or the other. So I don't know. Maybe that person did know it and just did not give two fucks. maybe he was pulling a Tina Fey from 30 Rock. You know how I love referring to 30 Rock, and realized if he smells really bad and goes out, people will just stay away from him and leave him alone.
I don't know if I mentioned it before when we were talking about smells, but for me, there's one specific smell that always throws me off. I can never handle it, and it's when
You've
a
told me
person.
this.
I think it is when a person smells like soup.
Yes, you have
okay.
told me this.
That just throws
We've talked
me off
about this
every time. Yep,
soup.
that still gets me.
It's so weird. Why would a person smell like soup? Why? Okay, moving on from bad smells before I get sick myself here. I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I gave in. I bought a pair of Crocs.
I didn't buy my Crocs, so
judge me.
I'm not. Do you wear socks with the Crocs?
Oh, fuck that. No.
Okay.
In fact, I bought Crocs specifically because I hate putting socks on. And I have Allbirds sneakers, which are supposed to be worn without socks, but they still, they're still...
Sneakers.
They're sneakers, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, I had to bring my daughter to dance last week. And my neighbor's daughter also goes. And it just so happened that the husband was also bringing his daughter. So it was great. We just sat and talked for an hour because we haven't talked in a while. So we caught up. But he had Crocs and he was just like, yeah, I just gave up. I don't care. And I was like, looking at him going, you know what? I kind of like the idea.
Welcome to the fold.
I know.
Grown men who've reached a certain point. We just don't care. We want to be comfortable.
Speaking of, I'm going to call out my wife on this podcast. And I know you're going to listen to this. And I'm going to call you out right now. And we're going to put this up to Joaquin to tell me if I should, if I'm right to be upset. So I had told you a while back, we talked about on the podcast too, I think, that I'm right now I'm going through, well, this was a while ago that I told this, but I've been going through phase 1 of make Matt not suck, right? So phase 1 has been personally making my personal life, making me not suck. I've been trying to just do better about everything, and I'm not getting into the detail. But a while ago, I think I told you I bought some new clothes, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to stop looking like a middle-aged man and wearing hoodies and sweatpants and shit. And I bought some nice shirts and some not nice, but button-up collared shirts and stuff.
Something that makes you feel like you're at least presentable.
Right, and you know what? And for the most part, it was not for the most part, almost exclusively it was for my wife. It's like, you know what? Let me try, because she always makes comments jokingly about how I used to, when she met me, I wouldn't wear anything but khakis and some sort of dress shirt.
And now you're a bum.
Like a polo. Yeah. But literally, I wouldn't wear, I only would wear khakis and either a polo shirt or a dress shirt because I felt like I had to present a certain air of I care about the way I look. I'm trying to look professional and not what's the word I'm looking for? Not full of myself, just I want to present a professional look. And now I wear hoodies, sweatpants, and t-shirts, and So I had bought a bunch of pairs of the Fabletics only pant for men, and I think I showed them to you.
Maybe you did.
And I got them on sale, but they're still pricey for fucking pants, to me. But I bought a few pair, and they look like khakis, but they're really thin, almost track pantsy material. They're waterproof, so they look good, but they're very comfortable. And the other night, I had ordered a couple pair on eBay because I found some really cheap on eBay that were new, and I was trying them on. This was actually probably a week or two ago. I was trying them on, and I was like, "Well, what do you think?" And my wife was like, "Yeah, they look good." And she says, "Does the sound they make bother you, though?" And I got so upset. I got so upset. And I went, "No, but I'm assuming it bothers you." That swish sound,
it's like that nylon like nylon rubbing on nylon.
And I was like, forget it.
Okay, back in the 90s, did you wear windbreakers at all?
Sure,
at any point?
Yeah, same sound.
That noise. That's the.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of the material the pants are made of. It's that thin windbreaker kind of material. They're very comfortable. They look nice. And I was like, I'm fucking returning them. I was like, now I'm sending them all back. And she's like, no.
She made you self-conscious.
She did. And I'm like, all I was doing here was trying to make myself look more presentable and act like I cared so that you will look at me and don't see a fat, bald piece of shit and see this person you married who you still find somewhat okay looking. and show you that I care about myself and I want you to care about the way I present myself. And yeah, I felt shit all over.
This for me is sort of like the whole thing with like men are battering rams, women are sniper rifles.
Ooh, that's a good comparison.
And that's
I
what
like that.
was. That like a girl goes, "Does this dress look nice?" Goes, "Yeah, I guess." That's a battering ram. Like, just there's no real like.
Right.
I might bluntly go, "It doesn't fit. It's too small. I don't care."
You'll get in trouble, but
we'll find something like, yeah, but that color never compliments you. So now it's not just like the pants themselves; it's every pants that's that color will never work for me now.
Yeah. I'm glad you told me you liked my purple hoodie, and I was really appreciative.
I liked it.
I loved when you said that because I personally think that only black men look good in that color purple. They just pull it off. They look so good in that color. They just do. And I never see a white guy wearing that color and think he looks good. So I was really happy when you said you liked the color of my hoodie. Now, in fairness, you didn't say I looked good in the hoodie. You said you liked the color of the hoodie, but you did
applied
not
it the way you wanted to.
Yeah, I applied it the way I wanted to. So I was very happy. But anyway, am I wrong? Was I wrong to be upset?
I feel like I'll
now be careful here because next time we see each other.
No, I know.
You're gonna hear about it.
You already know I'm non-apologetic to anything I say to your wife.
This is very true. Yeah.
Like I say what I can. I still can't get over the fact that her face turned into that of a clown with the red nose and the red cheeks because I made her laugh that hard.
When you made
just by being blunt.
When you made a reference to cunnilingus.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you said I was talking again about how I don't think it's fair that we don't know what humans taste like, and you said something along the lines of, "Well, I'm hoping for your wife's sake, you know what humans taste like," or something like that. You said,
"No. It was. I was making the scenario of, well, if you're married to a cannibal, what if one day they decide they want to know what you taste like?" Well, I mean, your husband knows what you taste like.
Right, that's what you said. There you go.
And since now she is listening to this, I hope you are beat red right now.
She is. Wherever she is very red. I kind of hope that she's listening to it like on the bed, like as we're getting the kids ready for bed or something. So I could see her turn red and know that she reached this point in the podcast. By the way, just fucking excellent. Spur of the moment joke. That was brilliant. Brilliant joke.
But I'm gonna say to your wife what I say to my daughter. I mean, my wife needs to learn this lesson too, but I think it's just a girl thing. But there are certain comments you just don't need to make.
It's true.
If there's just certain things you don't need to say because now it's gonna be a thing. Just learn when not to say something.
It's good. Okay, so
even if it's your honest opinion, you don't have to say it.
I have decided I'm going to keep the pants because you know what? I really do like them and they do look good and I like the way, but I'm not going to not hear that sound every time.
Oh no, that's going to be in your, well, that's the thing. And that I have that problem too, that if somebody points out something innocuous and stupid yet annoying, it sticks with me forever.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I mean, not to get into super detail, but the OCD break in my life that caused me to have to go and actually get help for it was innocuously, again, I went into a pizzeria and they have, you know how they have those spotlights that are just like super bright? I went over to the counter and I was standing right under one of those spotlights and it was beaming down right on my head. And the dude behind the counter was like, "Wait, are you going bald?"
Oh no. And
I was 18 or 19 and that's it. I couldn't get it out of my head. And it's funny because I obviously did start to lose my hair, but at the time I wasn't. And I had it really gelled. So it was gelled and spiked up. And yeah, you could see my scalp with the light direct on it.
Because that's what spikes do.
That's it. It just
that was such an ugly 2000s thing. I hated
that. Yeah. Well, I think I looked good.
You probably look like a fucking dunce. I'm sorry.
You know how
I hated
the time
the freaking skateboard swoop. I hated that.
I had, you know, the dude from Static X?
Like every young boy had their son named Bryson, and Bryson always had that stupid gelled hair.
You know the dude from Static X, you know his hair?
Yeah, straight. He had the Simpsons like
I had hair like that, but it wasn't that tall. It was about half that size, but it was a big spiky jet of hair. And I have to tell you, a lot of women, well, girls at the time, because I was like 18, walked by, would go by me like with their boyfriends when I was working in the store and be like, "Oh my god, I love your hair," and I'd see their boyfriend's face and I'd be like, "Yeah, fuck you, motherfucker, your girl likes my hair." But anyway, that's all it took. That one little innocuous, and I always think back of how angry and how much I hated that guy, and he didn't mean anything by it. It was just a stupid thing he said offhand.
It was a thought that popped in his head. He didn't know to shut his fucking mouth and just said something.
Like, right, to your point, like, that's if you thought for 2 seconds, you probably, that's probably not the best thing to say. I don't know. I don't want to make somebody
like, I just don't want to turn it into a
self-conscious. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, so yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, I'm keeping them, but I'm going to hear that sound every time I wear them. And I bought like 4 or 5 pair because I found they're usually, okay, so oh God, they're usually like fucking $100 pants. I bought the first pair on sale for like 30 on Amazon. I found one color, and then I found some on eBay for like $25 a pair. And I was like, beautiful. I
stopped wearing jeans for a really long time.
As did I.
And I think once I started gaining weight out of the army, I was like, fuck it, jeans are done. And I am so goddamn happy that pants companies have decided to allow men to wear stretchy jeans.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited about that.
Just my first pair, I wore that until it like really like the crotch was worn out. I love these pants,
dude. I had to buy a couple new pairs of khakis not that long ago for a wedding, and they have the same thing. They got the stretchy fit on the inside, and they're just much more comfortable. I'm trying to lose weight. That's part of my make myself better plan, and I'm doing okay. I'm losing, not. I don't know what, I don't have any reference. I don't know what a good rate is, but I'm just working on it.
Any rate that you are comfortable with and doesn't allow you to notice. Because once you start noticing, you'll obsess over losing the weight.
You're right.
And then you'll overwhelm yourself.
In my head, I'm trying to make my expectation just be less than last week. When I weigh myself, just have it be less. If it's a half a pound less, that's a half a pound less. I've only lost like 5 pounds so far, but I picked up a 5-pound thing of flour the other day and I went, but it's this much off of me. I was like, this is a lot. So I gotta be happy with that and just try to just a little more each week. That's it. See, I'm not looking to have a goal.
Okay.
As far as each week, like I have to lose 3 pounds. I have to lose 2 pounds each week. As long as it's less each week, I'm going to be happy.
I'm trying to get back to a point where when I close my arm, my bicep is really hard. Because that was one thing, another army thing was anytime I closed my arm, it wasn't like I was flexing or anything. I just closed it and it was just really hard. It's like, that's what I want. I didn't have like high definition or anything like that, but there was a lot of strength behind it.
Right.
So, our mutual friend I've been going over his house to work out and he's been kicking my ass.
I was just going to ask you if you were able to keep that up when you had to leave your house for a while there.
I still sporadic. I'm still trying to work up a more stable time.
You know what? Sporadic is better than not at all.
But we do like 10 sets of 10 of 2 workouts.
Okay.
And it sounds really small.
No, that sounds like a lot to me.
There's a lot of farmer carries, a lot of kettlebell stuff.
Yeah.
And he has workout maces, which you would think wouldn't be that hard, but after the first 10 of 10, like for 3 days, I'm just sitting there like, oh, everything hurts.
Yeah, I bet.
And I hate it all.
The
second time, I'm not sore at all.
That's good.
We went a little harder, so I'm just like, okay, I just got to keep it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to focus on just the dietary stuff now because I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to do X. I fatigue too easily. I literally, like, just going up the stairs, I'm like not out of breath even. It's just like my body's like, I can't expel any more energy. Yeah. Which I guess is related to,
I just like food that tastes good.
No, me too. Me too. So I'm trying to find other foods that taste good.
After deployment, I became selfish when it comes to food because I would like eat just like a box of like cereal or MRE. So it's like, really stale, not stale, but like super packed bread and like whatever, like dog food essentially.
Right.
And I'm just like, now I came home, I was like, I want a burger. I got a McDonald's burger, got sick almost instantly after.
Yeah.
But I just wanted it. Like, no, this and that, just kind of, without the constant working out and the constant,
I get it,
missions and stuff like that. Like, I would just still had that mindset of, I just want it.
I have that mindset still. I have cut out fast food. I have not had any fast food since I started. And not even so much the the weight thing. Just I realize every time I have it, I just feel horrible. Like my stomach hurts. I'm just like,
That is a big
why?
thing.
I'm not doing that anymore. But I'm just trying to find. You're right. Like there's things that I just love. So I'm trying to find other things that I like. So like I said, I think I mentioned I've been eating plantains.
Yep.
I fucking love them. Although I just bought these fucking lime flavored ones when I was out because I had to stop at and get gas, and they're disgusting. So I'm not eating those. But you know what? It served the purpose. I didn't buy a bag of potato chips. So
also, funny enough, because there's this, I don't drink soda much, but sometimes I get a craving too.
Yeah.
And then I'll drink soda, and then that just kind of ruins everything because soda's like a cup of soda is over 200 calories.
But at the same time, I'm also trying to let myself feel that like, hey, I'm not going to like completely cut myself off with things that I really like. If I want to have a soda once in a while, it's fine. If I have one every month, it's fine.
I found an alternative that I really like.
What do you?
And it is still soda. It's called Gus.
Gus,
which
huh?
stands
You're gonna
for
have to
grown up soda.
You will have to send me a link for that because I may have to purchase it.
I've
tried.
I mean, I'll get you one from the corner store just in case you don't like it, because everything I suggest to you is always a double-edged sword.
Right, that's true.
Like, it just goes wrong. I want to stand over you, like, and make sure it doesn't go wrong.
I've been trying. I mean, I'm fine drinking seltzer, like with a little bit of flavoring in it, but I can't fucking find it.
Seltzer,
it's like there's a shortage. Does it?
For some reason. I don't know why soda specifically doesn't, but seltzer does.
Yeah, I can't find seltzer right now. They used to have the 12 packs, and they discontinued those. Now they have 8 packs that are crazy expensive. I was like, well, fine. I'll buy the liter bottles because they're usually like 99 cents each. Can't find those anywhere. I found a couple Walmart brand ones the other day.
Running out of water. Honestly, true, but
yes, but I bought I found a couple black cherry ones at Walmart, and they turned out to be the kind that have, and let me get this word right, aspartame. Did I tell you about this? I realized
we have to look for aspartame and sucralose and everything because my wife's allergic.
Well, it has aspartame in it, and I hate the artificial taste of aspartame, but I didn't realize until like 2 days ago when I mentioned it to my wife that it has it, that I've been saying it wrong my whole life. It's another word.
No.
First there was magenta, which I said as magneta.
Wow.
Forever. I thought it was aspartame. And my wife went, you
aspartame?
Don't make fun of me. I thought my wife went, you mean aspartame? And I went, fuck, I'm not going to hear the end of this for a while. I don't
know. I kind of like, hello, I am aspartame.
Aspartame. That's just how Europeans say it. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. Just like aluminium and aluminum is aspartame.
Oh, why couldn't I think of that in the moment? Oh, I'm sorry. That's the European pronunciation. Yeah, aspartame. Sorry. But of course, I once again demonstrate how stupid I actually am. I can't find seltzer, which sucks. But anyway, man, we've been talking about dieting for 10 minutes.
Well, just last thing, water. Since I mentioned water last.
Mm-hmm.
Moving back into my house, first fucking day, flushing the toilet starts leaking. Right from the front, bottom lid, and they're like, "Oh, your wax seal is broken."
Of course it is.
I'm like, "What's a fucking wax seal?"
You don't know what wax seal is?
No. Last I thought it might be a really greasy endangered animal. That's all I was imagining.
Yeah.
But no. So
there's a big thick rim of wax around the hole when they put the toilet on.
That. Yeah. And so I'm just like, fuck. Well, I'm trying to call like certain friends to come help me. Friends that I know that aren't broken.
Why didn't you tell me?
Like, because you're broken.
Okay.
So, but I didn't. They didn't come over. Had an old man help me instead because the immediacy in which we had to have it done.
Yeah, I mean, you got to
It was
take
on
a shit,
Sunday.
right?
So, and not only myself, but my wife and my kids, we all share one bathroom.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So I'm just like, okay. So we go to Home Depot, we pick one up, we haul it in. I learned so much about putting a toilet in.
Yeah.
That's a new job ability I have. Like, just like, your toilet breaks.
You know what's hilarious?
Peel the motherfucker up. Oh, look at you with a wax
have
seal. That's
upstairs,
literally the same one we used.
Yeah, my upstairs toilet, I believe I'm seeing some residue coming out from underneath that I believe is the wax seal is dried up and needs to be replaced soon. So I actually picked one up that I have to go replace at some point soon.
Well, our wax seal wasn't broken. It wasn't the wax seal.
Oh, what was it?
The bowl,
no.
plate that connects the bowl to the tank rusted out completely. And it's a very specific piece, so we would have to just replace the toilet anyway, because to replace that piece would be the same amount.
Yep.
Mind you, I'm sitting here. This man is sitting on my sink. I took my shirt off because I am sweating like a fucking pig, and I'm just none of my tools are working. I'm just trying to work it. The screw like rusted up, so I couldn't like loosen the nut at all. Like, this is the most disgusting thing.
You couldn't loosen your nut?
I couldn't loosen my nut at all.
Oh man,
it was a really stubborn nut.
Yeah, I hate
but
when that
I got it to climax.
It's really embarrassing.
Then eventually,
so you ended up replacing the whole toilet.
But in replacing a whole toilet, I have nowhere to throw it away. So now I have 2 broken air conditioners and a toilet on my front porch. Yeah, I definitely look like something out of like what's that? The fucking Deliverance.
Yeah, there you go.
In front of my house.
Didn't you have a big dumpster out front? Is it gone?
It was filled with my roof.
Oh, it was full. Okay.
And
how are you going to get rid of that? Where the fuck do you bring it?
It's gone now.
How'd you do it? What'd you do?
Oh, get rid of the toilet? I don't know. Yeah. I have no idea. But I'm going to ask the people, can I throw it in there when they come back to do the siding of my house?
Yeah, they'll probably let you.
But the company that owned the dumpster came by the next day. Mind you, I'm still really sore from working out, and now I have to carry a toilet up my stairs and then like install it.
That shit is heavy too.
Carry the other toilet downstairs.
So you should have called me, but you also shouldn't have called me because I have this bad habit when it comes to like handiwork stuff. Mm-hmm. I like doing it, and I usually am pretty okay at doing it. But when things don't work out right, like when the bulkhead sucks, I get really nasty. Like I turn into a fucking dick. My mom, believe it or not, is really, really handy because my parents divorced. She had no money. So when shit broke, she had to figure out how to fix stuff. And like there's been times when I needed to do something and I've called her and said, hey, you want to come over and you mind give me a hand with this just in case I'm running anything? And something will happen. And I'm just such a fucking cocksucker to her. And I feel so bad after, but I'm such a fucking dick when things aren't working out. I start cursing. I remember we replaced the light fixture once and they put the fucking junction box in a stupid place. Yeah. So to center the light, I had to like cut the junction box, cut a hole in the fucking stud, and then run the wires like... It was this whole thing, and I was just so mad. I was like, these stupid fucking cunts didn't put the fucking junction box in the center of the fucking console. What is... And I was just a dick. But anyway, so finish your story. Sorry.
The guy I was like with, he seemed like he was talking... I thought he was talking to me.
Wait, who is this old man?
He was talking to himself. The old man is like my wife's best friend's father.
Okay.
But we were over his house. We're at... Well, not his house, but her house, and he was there. Because there was a birthday party going on, and I had to leave the birthday party to install a toilet.
Ugh. Yeah, nothing more fun than installing a toilet.
It's better than being stuck around like six little girls screaming extremely loudly.
True. The worst part of installing the toilet is when you realize there's just a fucking hole in the ground that your shit goes into.
No, you know what? The worst part for me is the whole thing.
Okay. Point taken.
Honestly, no.
Point taken.
The worst part for me, honestly, was like the wax seal itself, because we had to install a new one. Once you have the old one, you take it up.
Yep.
But like seeing that gross globule of what's supposed to keep your filth in.
Yeah.
Like,
Pretty
that's
gross.
between your house and the filth, and then knowing that if you fucked up even a little bit, you're gonna have to do that shit all over again and buy another one.
I always laugh because it seems like such an archaic thing. Like, there's just a big chunk of wax around this. Like, nobody figured out a better way to do that
There's no better way.
than just anyway. Okay, I guess it's time we get to our topic since, as usual, we're so far in. So
since we're talking about shit,
we're talking about shit. Let's get into this shit.
It's time to begin the complaining.
Joaquin, what's our topic today? I don't even remember.
Pimps and hoes.
No, I don't think that's what it was.
Overthrowing the patriarchy.
No, I don't think that's what it was either. I think you're making shit up.
Sancho
I genuinely
genuinely don't remember.
No, I genuinely don't remember what it was.
It was no, I have it. I know what it is now, and it was something oors.
Oh, it was old schoolers. Old schoolers. Sorry, I totally forgot for a minute there. That's what happens when. That's what happens when we establish a topic and then we talk for a fucking hour before we get to it.
Really,
so today we're talking. Go ahead. Sorry.
God. No, especially the really fucked up part was I knew it and I was about to say it and then completely forgot.
Oh yeah, is that just an old man brain thing? Because that happens to me.
I've always had that problem, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I've always had that problem too. I can't remember it ever not being a problem where I have a thought and then literally 30 seconds later or less, 2 seconds later, it's gone. Anyway, yeah, today we're talking about old schoolers, and these are those people that refuse to do things more efficiently and more expediently. That's a word, right?
Expeditiously.
Expeditious. There I go again. Magenta. No, Magneta. I said it right. Magneta. Refuse to do things the newer, better way because they just like to do things old school. When what they really mean is I do things a stupid way. That's what they mean, you know? So that's anytime, you know, you're like, I gotta send out this package. I'm going to print the label here and slap it on there and leave it on my, this is a bad example. I'm going to slap it and leave it on my porch and they're going to pick it up tomorrow. And they're like, oh, well, I do it the old school way. You know, I bring it to the post office and I have them weigh it. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But that's a bad example because it's not as absurd. But it's any of those people that do shit like that refuse to do things more efficiently and in a better way because they do it old school.
Okay, from the phone side of that, like cell phones and stuff, more realistically is usually older people, obviously, who don't want a smartphone. They want a dumb phone, as they say it. Like, I want a dumb phone because they're intimidated by the smartphone, but then they go home and they sit on their computer or their tablet, not realizing that it's the exact same fucking thing.
Same thing, different size. That's it.
So, those people, like, which is funny. Like, no offense to my father-in-law, like, well, both of them really, is like my father-in-law says he doesn't understand phones. He doesn't understand phones, but sits on his computer for hours. Like, it works the same way.
Same thing. I'm old school. I like a flip phone. What does that mean? Like, what is that? Yeah. You like it? So you like inferior technology
to everything.
You like having less information at your fingertips. You like having
spending
less
30 minutes to say a sentence.
Yeah. With the fucking number pad texting. I like doing it old school. No, you like doing it stupidly and inefficiently. That's what you.
You may have some words wrong, but voice to text is a fucking godsend.
Oh, absolutely. You know what drives me crazy too? Speaking of that, are you the type of person that corrects yourself when it does something wrong or says like, "Oh, sorry, auto text" or "stupid auto text"? Do you do that too? I
do that because I stupidly hit send before I reread what I sent.
See, I do it too, but I think it's unnecessary because it's ubiquitous. Everybody does that, and we know. Yeah. Like, I know you, so I know you're not going to intentionally type something that makes no sense. And if it's a typo or something, I know you probably didn't intentionally make that typo. I'm assuming that you just
But
voice the text.
but that's us knowing each other. One, with people you don't know and people who are a little bit less cognitively aware.
You don't want them to
Like,
think you're a moron.
yeah, and there are
Yeah.
just so many autistic people nowadays that
True.
you just don't want to. You just have to clarify. So that's that's the reason why I do it. That's why I think most people do it. I could be wrong.
No,
I'm not embarrassed. I just go. I didn't mean foot. I meant took. I know
Yeah.
sentence, like in the sentence it doesn't make sense, but I'm not gonna give you the chance to try to infer something out of it. I'm just want to show you what my intentions are.
That makes sense. I do it with everybody though. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. I'll put asterisk, the correct word, or
Yeah.
sorry, that was autocorrect. I meant this. And I'm like, well, I just wasted time writing another sentence. But yeah, where I used to encounter the old schoolers a lot was work. I don't have it happen so much anymore since I work for myself now. But I used to have that happen all the time at work where there'd be, oh my God, like web development. Holy fucking shit.
I could
The
only
ama-
imagine old schooler coders.
Oh, the
I
amount
prefer
of
C++.
well, the amount of
DOS.
efficiency that has gone into web development over the last several years, even 10 years ago, even to make things more efficient, easier to do, less time consuming, less code writing, more easier to more easily manageable is crazy. And there's the amount of times I've encountered developers where I'm like, oh yeah, this is how we do this. There's a centralized way, our CSS is centralized in this way, and there's this.
We can do it this other way.
What's that?
No, I'm seeing the situation.
Oh yeah,
happening in real
and then,
time.
well, I do it the old school way. I hand code everything on an individual style. Like stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, okay. What you mean is you do it the stupid old way that doesn't work as well and is less efficient. It drives me fucking nuts. Like, don't say, oh, I'm old school, because what you mean is I haven't learned anything in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you really mean.
Those are still like, they're basically like my wayers, like people that want to do things their way. They want to work within the system in their way. So like you do a job and then you pick it up behind them and you don't have a fucking clue as to how any of it's done because they do it however they want to fucking do it.
That's true. Yeah,
and
you're right.
Now you can't continue the job, and now you're bugging them every 2 seconds to try to figure out their fucking chicken scratch, essentially.
Yeah, that's really where it comes from. You know what? Now the more I'm thinking about this I don't know how long this topic has been on the list, but I'm now thinking. I think this really does stem from working for me. All the experiences I have, because now I'm thinking about graphic design too, where I've dealt with people who are doing graphic design work, and they're like, oh, can you send me the raw file so I can make edits? And it's like an AI file or an EPS file from Illustrator, and you send it, and like, oh, what the fuck is this? Oh, it's an Adobe file. To use Illustrator, you can use blah blah. Oh, I thought it was just gonna be like a doc file. I'm old school. I like doing flyers the old school way. Like, no, that's not right. No,
you mean opening Word and
yes,
taking templates. Is that
yes, literally, that's what they mean. Like, no, I can't edit this.
I got you, one. So my job in the military was oh my god, now I can't remember. Is combat documentation specialist. That was the official name. Which pretty
that's
much
a cool title.
Which is pretty much a videographer,
right,
editor, and combatant.
I knew what you did, but that's a cool. I like the title.
That's the title.
That's a good title, but it's also kind of weird. Like, I'm going to go ahead and archive and what was the word?
What?
What was document all of the combat efforts in the field.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
I'm gonna film people, shoot people.
Kinda.
But that's a cool fucking title.
But also, I before that, I was a medic.
Yep.
Now, during my time as a medic, these motherfuckers, when we trained to do medic stuff, you had to learn how to do IV lines. You had to learn how to pack wounds, stuff like that.
Okay.
And these people, like, well, the way we used to do it was we used to tie it like this with tourniquet, and then first of all, you don't use the tourniquet for that. because you have to release the line so you open the vein. There's people like, well, if we found a rolling vein, we just hunt it. Why the fuck would you hunt a rolling vein?
I don't know what you're talking about right now, but I get it.
Okay. You have vein. You've gotten like blood taken before.
Oh yeah, like constantly.
Do you know that your veins roll? They can.
I don't know what that. Move. Really? Okay.
Yes, it's between your skin and your meat.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
And some veins they roll, and some people find it as a challenge to try to fucking get that vein. Why are you chasing a vein? The person that you are doing this to potentially could be dying.
Right.
And your dumbass wants to try to be a fucking anime character, like monologuing and just finding the vein and getting on first try on a battlefield. Fuck you. Save that motherfucker. Get them out of harm's way and get them their goddamn fluids. But now, since we're not in that situation, we're in a safe environment, relatively.
Mm-hmm.
You want to play, you want to treat me like a pincushion because you want to get that rolling vein? Fuck you!
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like a very... well, that must be why I always end up with... Well, that's not true. I don't always. There's sometimes when they take blood from me, they do it quickly, but I feel like most of the time they're just terrible at it and poke me 37 times.
Oh, God. Because they'll just go stick and put it in, put the catheter in, slide that out, pop the thing in, fill it with blood, do the other vials, and that's it.
That's what it's supposed to be.
I'm one of those weirdos. I can feel like the fluid and catheters in my veins. It doesn't feel good. It feels weird and cold. So I don't want you playing around in my veins.
Oh, really? You can feel it?
I can feel it. And I hate it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I like it, because it feels invasive, which technically it is.
Well, it is, yeah. Yeah, it never bothers me.
But most people it doesn't. It's invasive for me. And so I don't like it. But yeah, there's people like that. Now, moving into my future with editing, when you edit a project with multiple people, you all have to be on the same fucking page.
I'm sure it's just like any other digital project that I've worked on. Yeah, you gotta.
And dealing with people who are like, well, who used to fucking edit on analog way back in the day, they don't know how to archive shit at all. And
no.
And just that, oh my God.
Yeah, dude, I've run into the same problem with graphic designers I've worked with, that there's a big difference between graphic designers that went to college, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and graphic designers that went to school 20, 25 years ago. And it sucks because it's one of those things where it's hard, right? Like, hey, you went to school for this. I know you worked hard to get your degree, but you haven't kept up, and to a certain degree. And I feel bad, but I'm like, well, no, like doctors that went to school, they have to keep up. Like, it's part of the job. But there are so many designers that I had worked with that, were older than me and had learned it earlier, that just didn't know how it works now. And the stuff, I worked for a newspaper a while back, and the ad designers, there's a reason newspaper ads all look as terrible as they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's because these were all people that learned how to design in the early 90s. It evolved so much, and they just didn't keep up. And, you can't call them out and say like, hey, like this looks like, because it's like, well, no, I'm just an old school designer. I prefer it the old school way. It's like, no, like you just don't want to learn the new way.
Yep.
It's not better.
You are at the position you are in now.
Right.
You've been doing this job for however long, and you have never progressed because you used to do it your way.
It's I don't know how to feel, because part of me feels bad, but part of me is just like, come on, like you gotta keep up. Hey guys, might have been a little break there. We apologize. We just got some really bad news of a pretty terrible bus accident that happened in our area. Thankfully, none of our kids were involved. Or any local kids, but it's kind of some shitty
tragedy nonetheless.
Yeah, really, really shitty and kind of upsetting news. So we're gonna probably wrap it up early here in a second. I did have one more example I want to give you, and the reason I'm giving it to you is because my wife texted me while while we were recording, and I got a chance to check it while you took that call there. And she asked our topic, and I told her what it was going to be. And she mentioned a specific thing that I make fun of her for. So my wife, for many, 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 many years, refused to do direct deposit with her paycheck. She would not do it. She would only get physical checks. And I always made fun of her and said, what are you doing? Like, now, and she said, I'm old school. I like getting the physical check. I want to make sure that if the money doesn't get in the bank, it's my fault. And I would say, no, you want to make sure if the money doesn't get in the bank, it's their fault, because then they have to fix it. If it's your fault, that means you lost a check, which has happened several times, or didn't deposit it, which has happened several times, where either like the dog ate a check. Literally, our dog ate a check once. She had to get it replaced. It took a while. She once got notified by the school that she works for that she didn't deposit a check, so they had to reissue it. So so haha, your fault. You texted me in the middle of our podcast and brought it up, so I have to bring it up to you. So yeah, sorry guys, we're sorry to be wrapping up a little early here, but we're both kind of not in the greatest of comedy and laughing moods, knowing that this terrible thing just fucking happened near us. So I'll just wrap it up with the usual stuff, guys. If you want to send us a message, we'd really love that. You can do
the
that.
It's very pleasant. I think we should get more of that. That's fun.
Yeah, I love hearing you get the stories. That was an excellent story, Aaron. Thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for sending that in. So you guys can you can email us over at podcast@atiwihy.com, or you could go visit our website, atiwihy.com. There's a contact form on the website. You can use that to send us a message. You can also leave us a voicemail if you want to leave a voicemail that we will listen to on air. The number for that is 929-564-4264. You can just leave us a voicemail. We will play that back and react to it live here on the show. That's essentially it. I really don't have anything else to add, I guess. Joaquin?
No, I'm good. Just take care of yourselves, guys.
Yeah, take care of yourselves. Hug your kids, everybody. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. We will we'll talk to you next time. Well, that's a bummer way to end a podcast.
Yes. At least the song is pop.
Fuck.
It's a new school thing. The kids say it nowadays.
Yeah. Well, peace.